Lancaster University Film Production Society were asked by the Economics Department of Lancaster University to produce a web series. And this web series would promote group work, it would show the benefits of group work, also the difficulties of group work and how to kind of overcome those difficulties. So the whole project was to kind of encourage people to enjoy group work and to show why group work was so beneficial. We wanted to make it accessible to students, and so we tried to add a bit of like a comedic effect to it.
So to give some background to this project, I was a member of the Management School's Blended Learning Task Force, and I saw that there was a digital learning ambassadorship funding available. So I'd become interested in student group learning because I myself had quite a negative experience with student group work when I was a student. So it's an area of interest that I have. And I felt it would be best if I involved students in the process and producing some resources for students. So the aim was to produce some training resources for students. The university had some old films which they bought in. They were quite good, but they were a little bit out of date, and they were focused on the world of work rather than a student context. So I felt it was about time we updated the resources that were there.
Vincent and Hilary came to us asking for us to redesign their Moodle page. The way it was at the moment is they had like quite a big load of text explaining each of the things we cover in our film. And they wanted a more entertaining way to show their students it, to motivate them to kind of watch it and actually learn the stuff that they need to know to help them complete their group project. So we decided to make a sitcom style video to make it a bit different. Normally you'd expect like a boring corporate video, really slow, dry explanations of each thing and really like patronising. And we wanted to kind of do something that students actually wanted to see. We had like quite out there characters to make it more entertainment, went for like a comedic style, and we split up the episodes to different writers, so everyone had one episode to write, but we kind of all came together and like came up with a bigger plan, story structure, came up with the characters all together, and we were all kind of trying to match our same writing style to make it one cohesive thing. So it's quite interesting like experience writing collectively and like coming up with a story collectively, and yeah, it's really enjoyable.
So I was really pleased to be involved in the writing and production stage in my own small way. I really enjoyed the writing in particular. When the team came back to me with the initial concept that you'd have these characters, so they're quite extreme caricatures of different personalities and how they'd all interact, I really liked it. I think sometimes training material, training videos can be quite, well, sometimes boring, sometimes a little bit patronising if they're overly didactic. I think the team are aware of that, and they play with that a little bit, so the audience is in on the joke. So there's a lot of comedy, and I think that's what will make it attractive to students to use.
Thank you. And what about the group vibe? So this person has to make sure, can we do that one?
Yeah.
Try maybe help like draw out vibe a little bit more.
Thank you. Okay. No, thank you. Okay, so what about the group vibes?
I do enjoy group work because I think that most of the time having one person's ideas can be benefited a lot by having like other people contribute and brainstorm, and there's always going to be someone that knows more about one thing than you, and I think if everyone comes together and puts their ideas together, then that can really help sort of bring out something new. And also, like, being in film production society, we have to work in a group and we have to rely on people, and it's always like every film we make, it's always a big team effort. So I think it is really important to, you know, consider other people and to, you know, always work together and make sure that everyone kind of gets their say and has their own kind of input.
Scene 6.
Matthias, I can 100% hear that table creaking. So you can't really move.
Okay.
Scene 6.
Wait. I'm sorry, I've been an idiot. Go on.
Scene 6.
Oh, wait.
I am going to murder everyone here.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Fine. Okay. Well, I say we assign all the roles, and whoever's not here gets the role. No, right. Get the. Yeah, I'm not allowed to say that, right? Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought the floodgates had opened for a second.
So we start swearing now.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
My favorite moments were, well, first of all, this was my first experiences while acting, and there were a few lines which I improvised, especially with Will. So like it was really fun doing them because it felt like we were actually having like a group work where we were getting distracted. It was not like a part of a script. So yeah, I enjoyed doing that.
So how did you enjoy your time on set? Did you learn a lot, or was it useful?
Was it fun? It was a good break from the normal work I do every day. It was. I thought it would have been much more time consuming to construct a scene, but both the actors and the filmers were very good at dealing with the practicalities of it and the script and everything. So it was good fun.
The typical shoot day looked like so the crew would arrive a little bit early to set up the lighting and the cameras, and then the cast would join. And when the cast joined, like the director would go through the lines with them and ensure that they were happy about how the characters would act in certain situations. As for camera positioning, we tried to make it that the group were always framed at almost eye level, so the audience kind of felt part of the group. They kind of understood what the group was going through. Same with kind of lighting, because of the genre, the sitcom genre, we used high key lighting, so it matched the genre and gave it like a bit more of like a comedic edge, less serious lighting essentially.
Group work isn't something you really appreciate until you don't have it. And so a good example or a good anecdote that I remember is that we were having a project and we'd meet every week. And there was a member who would always write down what we talked about in the meeting. And so then after the meeting, when we'd all go back home and part our separate ways, we could look back and remember what we talked about and all the ideas we came up with. And one week he was just ill, he just didn't return to the meeting. And something which I didn't really appreciate is how much I actually leaned on those notes. That my memory's terrible, and so it was also really handy to go back to those notes and see what he wrote, and then it would refresh my memory. And so I think it's a good example of why group work is a lot more important than I think people think.
My best moment on set was when I got to direct a professor, an adult. I've never really directed anyone other than a student before, and so it was really kind of like a fun experience to see what that was like, and it is a little bit different because you've got a little bit more pressure on you to act professionally, but it was really fun, and yeah, I had a great experience from that.
I really love the tone of the films. I think comedy is the best way of doing this because students could look at some of these videos and think they're quite lame or quite boring, or worst of all, just not bother watching them. But I think the comedy is quite sharp, although there are some points in the film where it is quite serious, and there's some quite serious points to be learned. I think one of the main things is that this is a story about a group of people and a group of characters, and I could see that the writing team had really put a lot of thought into what the characters would do in that given situation. So there's quite a bit of depth to the characters, even though they are caricatures. And the other thing I like about it is that the audience we're trying to appeal to have grown up with Netflix, and they want to see what happens in the next episode. So I like the fact of the narrative and there's a story arc. The day of the production was also really interesting. I was only down for a few scenes, but I was very impressed with the equipment that they had and the technical know-how that they had.
I could say that one of the characters I most relate to is Green, but for the alcoholic side, but So I could say that my actual character that I could relate to is probably Red. I've learned to roll with the punches. You get that at university, so you have problems come up in group work, and just naturally, it's part of nature. Everybody's got different schedules, different timetables. Everybody's got their own commitments, so it's natural that something's going to go wrong at some point. I think it's just learning to sort of just water off a duck's back. You don't let it bother you. You just go, okay, I'm just going to deal with it. I'm going to work with it, and that's. I find that you just save so much stress, and you can just be so much more flexible as a result.
Water off a duck's back. I've never heard that expression.
I think I relate to a few of them, and I kind of change what character I am depending on what project is. So when I'm really into a project, I might be a little more purple and trying to keep on top of everything, trying to get everyone else to do everything. But then sometimes I sit back a bit and act a bit like Blue, and I'm a lot more quieter during group projects and just kind of go along with it. And sometimes I'm a little Red and just try to keep everyone on the same team and just be easy to work with.
I think the most useful aspect of group work is sort of learning to deal with people who are different to yourself, because everybody's got their own ego. Some people more so than others, you know what I mean? It depends what kind of department, what group you're working on. It is whoever you've got, really. So I think it's an important life lesson just to learn how to just sort of deal with all the different characters you have your way. And it's not even a negative aspect. You meet a lot of people very similar to yourself, and you might meet some people who really aren't. But if you can learn just to sort of you might find the personality might great or it might not. If you can just learn to sort of roll with it and sort of get on with everybody, I think that's probably one of the best life lessons you can learn from group work.
So again, with the editing section, we decided to split it up so that everyone had a different episode to edit. We tried to make it that everyone would edit an episode that we did right to try and get kind of fresh eyes on it. What you normally find with film production is the script changes when you film it and then it changes again when you edit it. So having different people doing different roles, you get different ideas and different ways to see the same script or the same piece of footage, which can usually create a better product at the end. We did a few drafts for each episode, so we draft it, share it with each other, and we'd all give comments what could be improved, what we liked about it. We also passed it on to Vincent and Hilary, and they told us what they liked, what we didn't, and we then went back to our piece of work and made the changes that needed to make, tried to improve it if we could, and then once we've done our second drafts, jerked everyone again, and if there's still more changes, then choose what to do to improve it.
And in the last few weeks, we've been reviewing the work, and it's just so satisfying to see it come back and to be able to see months of work come to fruition. I really enjoyed being part of the process in a small way, and I was really impressed by the level of professionalism and creativity of the team members. I know quite a few of them plan on working in this industry later on in their careers, and I'd like to think that I've given them a small opportunity that they can have an output that maybe they could use in their CV later on when they go and work for BBC or ITV or someone like that. I also think this is a sign that the university should be engaging with student societies, particularly artistic societies, in a greater way to encourage deeper learning and better learning methodologies.
It was a really fun process the whole way through, and we hope students enjoy it.